Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am friend Chad Pearson, and welcome again to my channel. It is the 21st of December. Is it? It is. 21. 4 days before that man come down that chimney. I hope he can get down that chimney. Let's say it together. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Cover us in the blood. Call on the name of Jesus. Voice has power. As for his angels, as we endure unto the end. As we were nestled under the covers last night, many of us in a deep sleep, there was something brewing. I said there was something brewing, something that has gradually been taking shape, that the media has been reporting, yet I don't think they've gone into the deepest dive that they are trained to do. And why would that be? Because it's all about control, the omission of information. What are you talking about, Pearson? Well, submarines allegedly going right from the Bear to Venezuela. Yeah. I believe it's all planned. And let me break this down for you guys, because this is interesting. And it's going to get interesting. It's the last days.
Thanks, Vivian.
A tipping point, folks, that might be the understatement.
The tipping point.
Even of
Venezuela, the tipping point. It's exactly what he said. Thank you, Vivian.
To the tipping point. We can go bad. We're at a tipping point.
a tipping point, folks, that might be the understatement of the year, because while the media is obsessing over clickbait, manufactured outrage, NATO's worst nightmare is quietly becoming reality, and the technocratic control of the United States under Palantir and Peter Thiel and all of those guys is happening in real time. And yes, everything is changing right before our eyes. I'm going to show you exactly how this is unfolding. So over the past 48 hours, I received exclusive information from sources, information that has not been reported anywhere else. Here it is, that 2 Russian nuclear submarines have arrived off the coast of Venezuela, and more are on their way. This is in addition to the Russian battleships and cruisers, which have already headed to the...
Battleships, cruisers from the Bear. And then the gentleman from Redacted, he mentioned the guys from Silicon Valley and how much power, and he utilized the word control. You know, I covered the Silicon Valley thing about a month ago. That unhidden, that hidden group, put it in quotes. Do you think that they have a lot of power over our president and the direction of the nation? It'd be hard to prove because when you control that kind of money, you can definitely control the media. But you know what? In that spirit realm, when God speaks to you and he just shows you the sequences, you can kind of put it together. And like a friend of mine told me last week, as we connect these dots, this puzzle that's been dropped, we got to put it together daily. We can start saying more and more and shout hallelujah, because we know we are one step closer to that day when Jesus is coming. But what's really going on, people? Battleships, submarines. We live in a time of too much uncertainty, but there is a reason why. And I'm going to show you, in my humble opinion, how all this has transpired. See here? Let's go with some headlines that have been out there for a while. Look at that one. Look at that one. And then feast your eyes on this one. This one here. I'm planning this for a while. Like the guy from Redacted said, this ain't nothing new. China and Russia. Now, I told you guys last week that Putin called Maduro About 9 days ago, he called. Hello? I'm gonna get it some, but I just want to build. I just want to build. Just want to build.
The U.S. seizing a second oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. President Trump accusing Maduro's regime of stealing U.S. assets to finance criminal activity and declaring it a terrorist organization. Hudson Institute senior fellow Rebecca Heinrichs joins us now. Rebecca, good morning. This is now obviously the second time that the Trump administration has seized a tanker, saying that they are going to stop all unsanctioned oil tankers. What do you make of this development?
Well, look, the administration is following through on exactly what they said they would do, Griff. And Marco Rubio just said over the weekend, too, that the status quo with Maduro in power in Maduro is not sustainable for the United States. It's intolerable. And so you're going to see this pressure campaign continue, interdicting sanctioned oil coming out of Venezuela. Most of the oil, as you know, Griff, is going to China. China is Maduro's biggest backer when it comes to buying Venezuelan oil. Of course, then you have Venezuela using the shadow fleet and also selling heavy crude to Iran. And then Iran, of course, gives Venezuela what it needs. And so it's also being supported by some of our other biggest adversaries, Griff.
Iran, China. This is a world conflict, people. But let me start building. Remember this? When Putin came to town and the red carpet, in my mind, symbolizing blood, and he got on that purple tie, don't he? All right. Watch what happens above Putin and Trump is not fazed. Watch this. You think that was for Putin to warn him? Don't you dare try it. That was for us. That was for the world. And I'm gonna break it down. I just want to give you a little history. Now, let's look at this thing in terms of money, because all this is relevant. Here's your bond market right about now.
The bond market is telling us we actually might be in a recession already. Investors don't believe inflation or debt can be controlled no matter what the Fed does at this point. Now, you might be thinking, Andre, I do not care about bonds. I don't invest in them. I don't buy them. But bonds run the world. They set the interest rates for the cost of things like mortgages, loans, and even the value of our currency. And it's not just happening in the US. It's happening across almost every G7 country around the world. In the UK, for example, the yield on the 30-year bond, called the gilt, just went up to its highest level since 1998. In Japan, their 30-year government bond yield hit a record high, and it's been moving almost at the same rate as the price of gold, which is something that should never normally happen. In Germany and France, their long-dated bonds are also at multi-year highs. And here in the US, the same thing. Even though the Fed is telling us they are preparing to lower interest rates, the opposite is happening. The yield on long-term bonds is going up.
It's a fear environment. Now let me Google something right quick. What percentage of bonds is owned by China in relation to America? China holds a significant portion of global bonds as an issuer, second largest market, but is smaller, decreasing share of foreign held U.S. debt, owning around between $760 to $860 billion, making it a top foreign holder, but far from the majority, with Japan often holding more U.S. China's huge domestic market, while China's holdings of U.S. bonds have fallen from over 20% of foreign held U.S. debt to roughly 10 to 15% by 2024. bonds U.S. Percentage China owns. So about 3% of our bonds. Now, let me tell you what's going on. Remember I showed you guys this? Economist magazine, December 22nd, 2012. And I showed you America's on his back drinking oil and all this orange stuff. I finally put it together last week. That's oil. I believe that's where we're going. And the ultimate goal is this: to get Obama to come in and save the day under the sun god Ra. You see the colors there? Orange and gold. We're going out of the Aurelian and the Alexander the Great era that Trump has into this sun god Ra colors. Take care of war, money, bring peace, stabilize housing. And he's in red and black. Red and black is sacrifice. It's all a game. It's all being formatted. And if you think all these international meetings are what they say they're for, I want you to think about something. But let me show you something before I get there. You need to question all these major stories that they're putting in your face. Like Redacted talked about clickbait. This is Nick Reiner. Nick Reiner. TMZ ran this the other day. And when they ran that, I want you to look at it and look in it. Look behind him. Do you see what I've been teaching for 5 years? You see the blue and purple on the fence? Do you see that? I will put this video in the link. See that there? The blue and the purple. Matter of fact, why don't we just run that? I want you guys to see what's going on. They're keeping us distracted and they don't want us to think. They don't want us to put it together. But that's my job, right? And I'm going to get to my major point in a minute.
By the campfire or...
All right, so it's real short where they have it. But there he is. There he is. Watch this.
This is one of my favorite reads when I was sitting by the campfire or like relaxing in Malibu.
They're showing Nick Reiner, but look behind him, purple and the blue. Phoenician.
This is one of my favorite reads when I was sitting by the campfire or like relaxing in Malibu.
What are the odds? What are the odds? That's why I teach. How can I put this without saying anything? You think a lot of these people getting ready to go to bunkers? Just a question. Now, let me get to the heart of what I'm saying here. Trump is no dummy. Trump has money. Trump has international connections. He's had that ever since the world saw him catapult upon the stage. If anybody knows future past, Trump knows. And Trump is playing a role, like I've said before. Someone mentioned the other day, well, Pearson, everybody dies. You've been predicting Trump to die since June. Look, I'm not even supposed to use that word. So I'm going to use unalive. My bad. What's going to be unalived, what's going to DIE is the image that he is projecting. I just told you guys a few days ago. The Kennedy Center and Trump having his name on different places and whatnot and changing the ballroom construction. they're paying homage in the spirit realm because there's ranking. The ranking is like on our dollar bill and reflected from Egyptian times with a pyramid. Trump's at that top. So his legacy is being built and it's being showcased in buildings. I want you to understand. So when he leaves the stage going to play golf, understand what I'm putting down now. And I'm going to show you how it relates to all this. Trump would be perceived as a fool to have all these skirmishes, whether we started them or not, in a climate with an uncertain bond market, when definitely there has been a recession, in my humble opinion, since Joe Biden was in office, where all the mega investors are going into gold and silver and real estate. He would be a fool to create and be a part of the tipping point. So what is really going on? The whole world is at a point of surrender. And if there's ever a time I can really understand and appreciate, it's now looking at this. America's on her back drinking oil. And look, you can tell that's been hit. The smoke's bellowing out of it. The Capitol and the White House, or something like that in relation to Washington, D.C. Well, people, this is all planned. Because like I told you, the goal is this. This is the goal. And there are different tactics and different ways to get us there. That's all I'm saying to you. And you need people in place to get us there. So when I see that submarines are coming from the Bear to Venezuela, when I see that Putin called Maduro, when I see that the last 2-3 weeks, even over a month, that they have had ships over there, when I see that the United States attacked, what was it, on September 3rd, a so-called drug boat, and then I think we just did another one this past week, and we've actually seized 2 oil ships. When I look at this picture of oil, it's all fitting. It's undeniably, it's fitting. But yet they're keeping us distracted with TMZ stories. You fill it in. The world is at a surrender point. Now I'm gonna build and show you what I'm saying. Even the Epstein files. Look at it for what it is. You got Michael Jackson on Epstein now. Diana Ross, pictures Epstein. Bubba Bill Clinton. Chris Tucker. You think they're gonna really release the real big files? This is distraction so you don't think. Because it ain't like they got another moment where you stand in a house 6 feet from each other. Think about what I'm saying. So they got to have other ways to keep your mind distracted. So you have to ask yourself this one fundamental question. This is the basis of what I'm telling you. We have all these illegals over here. And I told you everybody was sleeping last night. In our body, we have cells. Sleeper. In our body, we have these cells. And last night we were sleeping. Put it together. I'm sleeping. All these illegals over here. In our body, we have cells. Okay, you got the point. Now, ask yourself, in 11 and a half months, in 11 plus months, since Trump has been in office, arguably so, since I've been watching the White House, there has never been a president of the United States that has made these many trips to foreign countries. At the same time, that many distinguished leaders have come to America. I can win that argument all day. So why are all these meetings going on with heads of state? So why did the leaders all come to the White House? Right? I believe they're getting ready for a global reset and adjustment. All this has taken place over the last months. Simultaneously, like the guy from Redacted said, the Silicon Valley guys have all this power. Hint, hint. Allegedly. Trump brought on the 21st the most distinguished computer heads in the world. Operation Stargate. They're setting up this global connection. But Trump is selling it in terms of jobs. No. This is control. This is AI. They're not telling you. Now watch and put it all together. Foreign and international leaders came to the White House, or Trump went to them, and how many Secretary of State meetings were held? I would argue and say more than any other time in American history, we've been having these meetings. Now, they told you it was to strengthen international relations. And at the same time, Trump has had two major meetings with all these AI investment companies. Trump said we're going to build trade. Trump has touted he has done what? Trump has touted he has solved 7 to 8 wars, has he not? All the while, what's really happening? Trump is doing tariffs, and like I told you, it's a tax. That's diminishing our purchasing power. The man just told you the bond market affects everything, and it does. Only a fool would operate and have all these skirmishes going on in this type of climate, because economics usually signals equally or more so, before the physical. So let's just say, for sake of argument, as the submarines were coming from Russia to Venezuela, the bond market was becoming shaky. People have been buying more gold, silver. You understand what I'm saying? They're preparing. That's the 1%. Trump been setting up this AI technical world. It's all merging and emerging so that when the world is hit in different pockets with a WAR, it's going to happen. It's prophesied, Matthew 24. Nobody can get back up, and everybody's going to wave the white flag. That's why he got the dove of peace. This is a calling. Read between the lines. The scenario I just drew for you, it's a calling. They're calling for the Antichrist. They're calling for someone to save it. And Obama told you, ain't nobody coming to save you. That's because the entity has created these issues and these problems. Think about it like this. A lot of this stuff began to activate overseas once Trump and Putin had their meeting. You would think it was for peace. I submit to you that everybody that Trump has met with and everybody the Secretary of State has met with, they're letting them know it's go time. We about to transition, and you play your role like we at odds because you know what's up. Let this sink in, people. If you don't know Jesus, it's time. We're going to honor the Lord on Christmas, but I'm afraid It just might be bloody. Because this demon, he won his sacrifice. That's the sun god Ra. That's a celebration day as well. It's time to get right, stay right, get ready for the flight. I just showed you my humble opinion. They setting the stage so they can have it, the whole globe.